Fear of the waves, their destruction and mystery. Terribly natural. The source of storm and winds, tsunamis and typhoons. She steals from the shore and brings back gifts. In a world where feet sink and lungs fail, chthonic leviathans dominate. What else then are sailors and warriors, witches, and artificers? Beware the thread of malice that ties you. Welcome to Bloodwine.
Hello,
Wow.
everybody.
Look,
Hello.
Look,
both me and Gabe are in different places.
Wow.
almost as if we had to take some time off because life shit was happening.
Yeah, because we were moving.
Yeah, insane.
Oh boy. Man.
Big old time.
Big
Yeah.
time, lots of time, all the time, always.
All the time, always.
Here at
Everything all the
Bloodwine.
time.
Yeah.
So yeah, hello again.
Hello.
And you know,
It's been a
Hello.
little bit, but we're back again. What do you guys remember from last session?
We didn't make a deal with the mob to kill people, and we didn't make a deal with the mob to rough people up, and we just didn't make a lot of deals with a lot of
we
mafia
didn't make many
people.
deals.
Make many deals with
We
many
offered,
people.
we offered to run a blockade.
Oh yeah, yeah. But we did not offer to perpetually run the blockade because that's not our
No.
style. Predictability is not our jam.
No, we were really down for more of a casual sort of thing.
We
Don't
kind
know
of
if we
wing
want
it.
kids yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we
Only
see how we
recreate.
feel.
Only use marijuana socially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recently started using Bumble. It's kind of tainting all my language. Why is my face blue? Why I moved halfway across the country and my lighting is still bad.
Welcome. Hey, do you want to see me become incredibly white? I just need to like shift over there. Yeah.
Oh, your socks sort of morph onto your feet through your sandals.
Yeah.
The beacons are lit! Gondor calls for aid!
The beacons are lit.
That's why I try to have dark things on both of my monitors, because otherwise, the same thing happens to me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
every time
nothing.
I open my spreadsheet, it's
So yeah, welcome back. You guys are in Dagger Bay, but you're leaving, I believe. Is
Yep.
there anything you need to load up? Anything you need to throw on the ship? You guys have a bunch of stuff that you just bought. Some sugar,
oh my.
which is semi-illegal. Some coke, which is definitely illegal. Some swamp grass, which is
Mostly illegal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
It's
get
just-
the piece of paper where I have that all written down.
it's just convenient if it's treated as illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the sake of argument, assume everything in our ship is illegal.
Yeah. And
You guys have met enough Navy soldiers who will interrupt you mid-sentence with a rifle butt to be like, technicalities aren't the most important
Yeah.
thing.
Saying, well, I mean, we're in open waters, so technically it's not illegal. Doesn't really mean shit.
And did you guys go to the rookery and pick up mail?
We did.
We, in fact, did.
We picked
think
up a
you
crate of
guys-
mail.
I think you guys settled on 2 pallets, one
Yes.
for red wine and one for Newtown.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So below decks is crowded, but still usable. There's nothing that had to be moved or stored. Nothing is above decks, so it's free walking. You still have to find a place to put all that stuff, though. Where are you putting it?
Okay. Well, because we had the one pallet that was below deck, and
I think you guys pushed the table so that you have 2 pallets of mail, but you also have a bunch of illegal shit.
oh, I see.
Yeah, and I guess if we start spreading it out and try and smuggle it, that wouldn't exactly help our situation at all.
Well, sugar takes up a lot of space.
How much of it do you have?
We have 17 gold and 6 silvers worth of sugar.
I feel like we all have a bag of sugar in our beds at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's
Yeah.
basically sleeping with sugar, except for Bilgy. He's sleeping with the swamp grass.
Sleep with the cocaine.
Yeah, everyone's just like got a bag of sugar, and then there's Jane being like, "I'll just put this cocaine over here. Don't mind me."
Don't worry about
Well,
it.
as it happens, I do have a system for this. Each 5 gold bag of sugar is 10 encumbrance. So you have 3 full ones and 1 semi-full one that you could tuck somewhere a little bit tighter if need be.
Yeah, I feel like the bunks. We don't all need to sleep at the same time, do we?
I mean,
For pure comedic value, Jane, do you want to roll smuggling?
Yes.
There you go.
I was gonna message you actually earlier, like, do you think I'm gonna need my character sheet or dice this time? Because I can't find them.
Yeah, I haven't actually unpacked my dice yet, so.
So,
Well,
but I did find them, so
it's really easy to find a dice roller online.
Yeah, exactly.
19.
Don't mind me and my typewriter over here.
So with a 19, you have honestly, like you're on a big old clicky clack gaming keyboard. Pretty sure Ken is as well. Chelsea is as well. I'm on a laptop that's on like a wooden desk close to my mic base. Like we're all making clacky noises.
we all make clickety clacks.
What do we look like? That critically roly?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Nostalgia critic?
Yeah, the one where the McElroys are sword people or whatever.
Hey, remember when we all performed in the same room?
I remember, yeah. Remember we were
that,
all
like-
brothers from Huntington, West Virginia?
When that started, I remember thinking, oh, this would be like a cool temporary thing in our catalog. And as of now, A, we no longer all live in the same place anyways. And
Yeah.
B, it is most of our catalog.
So it's the only thing I have left, honestly.
Oh.
Well, we can always schedule fun. That's
Chelsea.
the best part of tabletop.
Chelsea, are you
Chelsea's-
muted? I couldn't hear you for a second there.
I was indeed muted, yes.
Ah,
Nice.
nice.
19. Do you have any ideas, or do you want me to come up with something?
Oh,
For smuggling.
For smuggling, right. Cupboards. Like the cupboards in the kitchen.
Everybody's gonna love that.
Yeah. Underneath beds. Inside people's dressers.
Assuming that
Alright,
we
so
have
you-
dressers.
You take some of these bags. The first thing you do is go up with this, like, to the cabinet where all the dishes are being kept. You open it up. You hand people a bunch of stuff, so everyone's holding things for a second, and then you slide aside a false plate, stick these all in, slide it closed, put all that stuff back in. You're making sure you go, no, this was. And Rooker comes in, he's like, no, I like those a bit closer to the. It's fine. He closes it. You've got all these sugar covered in that one spot behind the cabinets. The next thing you're going for is beds. So what are you hiding there?
Beds. Swamp grass.
Okay, how much swamp grass do we have?
We have 11 gold and 4 silvers.
11 gold and 4 silvers. This is going to be another group of 10 encumbrance bags. The bags of sugar were kind of middling, like they're heavy, but they're like these flexible bags you could put places. with the swamp grass in particular, you don't want to compress them. You can a little bit. It's not the worst thing in the world. They're like dense little buds, but they're mostly like light, voluminous things. So when you go into the dresser, you're very easily able to kind of like angle all the clothes and then tie like the bag to the back of a shirt so that like it kind of, if you imagine a bunch of shirts kind of angled, there's a triangle in the back, and that's where you tie up a bag in a couple of different dresser cubbies. One of them you open up and then go, ah, shit, and you realize that it's one of the dressers for like the writing desk, and you close it up again and put all the rookery supplies back. You've got one last thing to stow.
Cocaine!
How much of it do you have?
We have 11.2 gold.
All right, this is a lot more dense than the other stuff because it's heavily valuable. You have enough that this one you're able to just kind of like lift up mattresses and put it in like flats kind of underneath them. You basically make sure that it's on the upper bunk so that whoever goes into it doesn't accidentally go thump and sit on the bed and accidentally bust the bag or anything like that. But where you place them, kind of like underneath the head area, it's less likely that someone will impact it heavy and make it bust. If it was in the middle, it'd be almost certain to go.
Oh, my cocaine, no.
So that's it. You guys have everything stowed. It's mostly taken up places that don't take up any space that you need to walk around. You haven't had to move things around or shove things behind other barrels. You have a couple of pallets full of mail that you have put together by the rookery, and now all that's left is the blockade. How many ships did you agree to escort?
2.
I think it was only 2, yeah.
I think it was 2. Yep.
All right.
I think it was a military ship plus another ship.
Yep.
Yes.
So there is a convoy for wounded and civilians that are otherwise leaving, like vulnerable populations, so kids, old people, that kind of stuff. The other ship is a military ship that is fully armed and ready to fight alongside you. So basically, one heavily vulnerable ship, one that is fully independent.
And my stream is white.
Don't. If it goes white, don't worry about it. I've just clicked off for a second.
Okay.
What
Okay.
are you clicking off to?
Don't worry about it.
What are you looking at, Ken?
Don't worry about it. Why are you guys all judging me? God, just because I'm the one that... Yeah, I'm the one sharing my freaking screen. Now everyone's judging what I do with my mouse. God.
All right, so yeah, you guys are sailing out in the bay. You have time. You're kind of close together as you're all gathering and going towards the blockade. How do you want to do this?
Similar to how we came in, I guess.
Yeah, we're sort of we're at the front, breaking the blockade. Civilian ship in the middle, and then the military ship bringing up the rear, as I thought was what we was doing.
Okay, so you're a straight line.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
If you
we're
spread
the...
out.
Like
Well, that
you're not
means
in a
that we-
sandwich or a diagonal or like a.
That means that we can't drop bombs behind us, which is what we did before. Right?
I mean, it's nothing to say that once we don't act as the breaker, we sort of tail off and let the civilian ship go past us.
Well, or we could have the military ship break the blockade, and then we bring up the rear.
I think the whole point was that we're the breaker, right?
I don't think we necessarily need to be the breaker, right? Because they're going to try to follow them.
Normally, if these were random trade ships, you would have to be the breaker. But because you have a military ship, you don't strictly have to. You could order them to do the puncture. You guys are... Well, you're the Bilgewater. You always have a little bit more than a ship of equivalent size because you have the apparatus and auto. You guys are... You put all of your points into gun.
Yeah.
like the Battle of May Island.
Oh yeah, we did.
Blam. We'll get those speed points going once I can reach a dry dock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
But,
you guys are heavy gunners, but the other military ship is like they're good gunners, and they have people who are able to repel boarders. They're perfectly serviceable as a blockade runner. It's just like not really worth it to go alone if you're just trying to get to a different location out at sea. It's better to just go inland. But if you guys are running the blockade, they're more than happy to come along.
all right. Well, I mean, I guess we can pitch it to them like, if you guys can go fast, get through, we can bring up the rear with the heavy artillery and more explosives, and you can shake a stake at.
They nod. Looking at where the ships are, they're arrayed similarly. This time, however, because you guys had like 6 or so smaller ships that were as patrollers, and then 2 large ones that were like heavy gunships in the middle.
Yeah.
They've clustered a little bit closer together, but there's still a little gap between them, but the larger gap is on either side. All of the patrol boats on the outside of the bay are still doing like the big runs, so they might not be right there when you run the blockade. On the inside, they seem to all be just kind of like lightly. There's a couple of them that are sitting with the blockade to make sure you can't run clean through, but a couple of other ones are like trawling around a little.
So basically, what you're saying is there's a bunch of big ships in the center, and then the outsides is a bunch of little ships.
Yeah.
So we should go for the little ones, and just I think we go around the outside, go for the little ones.
The very outside is also like all the little daggery bits of rock that come up here and there.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is aim to be between the daggery rocks and kind of like run basically close enough to the daggery rocks that we can't get attacked from that side, so we only have one side to worry about. And yeah, just go. Although I suppose that does pin us, makes us harder to maneuver.
It does pin us, but I mean, anyone that sort of comes close to us is just gonna get blamoed with a can.
True. All right, I say we skirt the outside.
Yeah.
Stay far enough away from the rocks that like we could reasonably maneuver, but close enough that
We're not getting flanked by many a ship.
yeah.
Still a straight line.
I mean,
Well, if we're doing that, then why don't we do like an L shape?
or yeah, why don't we do military ship and us sort of on the far side of the rocks? Okay. Military and us over here, rocks over here, and then civilian ship kind of protected in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are gonna castle in that ship and then kind of like escort it forwards, and the military ship is meant to be the breaker, while as you're like running up the rear.
Yep.
So like, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's some way that we could try and maneuver in such a way that if any ships try and attack us, they're right within apparatus. But there's not really a way to guarantee that. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right.
Sounds good.
We just start like drifting forward on our side, so we're always broadsiding everything.
Yeah.
Tokyo drift. Yeah.
So you guys are slowly drifting northward towards the blockade itself. Which side are you clinging to? You should pull up the map for this.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely say that we cling to the western side because we want to go to Redwine.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, makes sense to me.
That's the way we came in.
Yeah. It's the way we always come in.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. The cameras aren't set up. I just realized.
Cameras!
Well, now I can eat my chips so no one can hear it.
That's not how that works.
Well, now I've got my camera on. Everyone can hear me again.
It's like when you're driving and you're trying to like see like the addresses on houses and you're like, turn down the radio, I can't see.
Yeah.
Excuse me, if everyone could just, turn down the radio a little bit. I'm having trouble seeing where I'm going.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
I love turn down the radio because I can't see, because it sounds like a high thought, but it's kind of actually how brains work.
Yeah.
Like, you're not seeing, you're also thinking, you're trying to remember numbers, and like, is 24 larger than 27?
Who knows?
I don't
Who
know.
That's why
knows?
they say
No one
that's why they
knows.
say it's like more or less totally fine for you to have hands-free conversations, because you're using like your linguistic reading part of your brain, and it's separate from the visual part. So like as you're driving down the road, it's perfectly fine. But the second that you start looking down to text, that completely dominates your visual side, and that's how you get into a crash.
Hmm.
So
Man, the Pringles mascot, he's really got just like a tousled mop, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You looking at cartoon porn again, Gabe?
Rule 34, Pringles man.
No, man.
Oh.
Let's be real. He's the original Tumblr sexy man.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Truly the best.
Uh-oh.
So as you guys are leaving port, you notice that there's a supply ship it's not in formation with you, it's separately moving out into the bay. You notice also that a couple of your like cannonball and powder shipments have been loaded up onto a wagon that's starting to head off kind of down the road out of town.
Okay. That fucking amazing ammunition shipment.
Beautiful.
All right. The wind isn't entirely in your favor. It's moving to the
Oh,
south.
come on.
To the southeast, you said?
Southwest.
Southwest. Okay.
Not terrible. We are
You
trying to
move-
go north.
You move about like a square and a half northward on the conservative side. As you're in formation, you can see that the other ship is moving a little bit further westward. It seems to be aiming towards the village on that island in the middle there.
That's east.
Okay.
By now, it's a little bit past noon. It's getting towards like the early afternoon.
Are we gonna try to do it at night, or should we do it during the day?
They're going to be expecting it at night.
It'll be harder to, like, protect a civilian ship at night, too, I think.
That's true.
Listen, Wednesday at like 2:30, nothing ever happened. These guards are going to be twiddling their thumbs.
That's true.
They're going to be
Wednesday
changing
at
over their
3:30.
shifts, and
Yeah.
it's going to be awful for them.
When have you ever been productive at work at 2:30 on a Wednesday?
When have I ever been productive at work?
Fucking same.
Like,
It's so frustrating trying to be productive at work, because when you genuinely actually try, you start to realize that work doesn't want that either. They just want it to look that way.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know, there's that scene from fucking Office Space where the guy tells him how much he actually works in a given week, and you're just like, I'd say I give a solid 15 minutes of good, solid work every week. It's like,
Every week.
I have never felt so seen in my life.
That's so fucking funny.
I
Oh,
come
man.
in the morning and I just zone out for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, you code, so, like, basically, you can spend, like, 3 days in a row just going, it's still not working. Not as an excuse, as the reality.
There's
Yeah.
always like something like that where you can be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just working on this, and like, you know, really you were, you know, going for a walk or feeding the dog, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one that you get from XKCD is it's always compiling. Something's compiling.
Yeah.
Always compiling.
The wind switches from southwest to southeast. You're moving about as fast. You have to adjust the sails, but there's no real change in course or speed. 4 dice don't count. So it's like 3 p.m.-ish in the late afternoon, when you make your way between those islands and start to pierce through, from the angle that you're approaching from, you can see that there's a wagon, like the wagon that came with a bunch of shipments, is still following along. They quickly dropped something off at one of the ports, but you're ahead of them. You've moved kind of right to the spot where you would start to be breaching.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da.
So you've been sailing loosely as you approach, but now you're starting to tighten because you're facing the actual potential cannon fire up ahead.
All right, I am hooking up that big old machine to auto. Using up a charge. I'm going all right there. Going all right, kid.
Right there. Right there.
Oh
We got a
yeah,
big old
glorious
one.
One.
So as you guys are starting to approach the blockade, the wind shifts and starts to inflate your sails directly into it.
Nice. Good.
Yeah.
Ah. Nice.
Bilgy and
So-
I are just at the front of the ship going, yeah.
Hands on your hips, like.
Good omens, yeah. The sea
I just
gods
had-
are with us.
I love the idea of you being able to boon a roll for the win because it implies that everyone has the ability to do that. So
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't work, it's just rarely ever worth it.
Yeah.
It's somebody going the opposite direction is also going to do it.
And then it just
That's
cancels
the
out.
difficulty is that, like, you boon the wind this way, the other guy boons the wind that way, and then you meet each other and both die in a typhoon.
And it's that Pirates of the Caribbean scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the wind moves directly in your favor as you're approaching the blockade. One of the gunships starts to turn, the other one's too far to do anything, so the far side of the blockade doesn't engage. One of the ships nearby immediately starts coming by. It's a little bit behind you. It takes some time to, like, puff up its sails, but it's kind of just statically trolling around in the water so it can quickly pivot and run towards you. It's not anchored. You're not sure where the ships that were on the far side of the blockade are. They must be doing further patrols because they don't expect someone to be coming the other way. The other ship that would be there to immediately intercept is moving in towards the military ship.
Cool.
You guys are kind of at far cannon range. They're moving to intercept, but you're close to the daggers on this side of the water here.
All right, Otto. Now, I got you hooked up. I'm gonna go start up that generator, and you do me proud out there.
All right, just for flavor, Sun, do you want to roll me elemental?
I'd love to. Wait, I'd love to. Oh boy.
I love that it's the same words, just a different intonation.
Yeah. That's a 3.
Okay, so how did Sun do in elemental class in, like, 3rd grade?
He did very poorly.
The entire time he was writing out math equations.
I feel like Sun went to a 3rd grade, like within Celestia. I feel like the teachers in Celestia still do hit you very hard with rulers. And I feel like that was the majority of what Sun remembers from most of those classes.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
Sun's just at his desk with like a rubber band and a spitball, like pulling back and just woo.
Yeah.
So you're there and you're like, and immediately you spark and make a small flame next to the fire crystal at the base of your generator, and then out of nervousness it starts to fizzle into the wrong element. The first one is you feel the tip of your finger just sear in pain. You're like, you like shake it off. You do it again, and then there's like a little drip of poison that kind of like flicks against this crystal. You're like, oh, come on. You do it one last time, and there's a lightning spark, but it's good enough. It sparks. and then
Alright.
it catches the fire crystal, and there's like a wreath of flame that starts to come around the edge of this kind of like orangey crystal. There's a water tank in the back, so it's slowly starting to spool up. You can hear a turbine going. A lot of this is going to be compensation. You run it after to recharge Otto's batteries, but Otto's got a whole bunch of backup battery life that he uses because he wants to live until the ripe old age of 80.
Alright.
But as long as he's going to be charged, he can start to dig into those, so he can fire into me immediately if need be.
Alright. And with that, I'm prepping the apparatus. Well, I'm helping get the apparatus ready, is where my next sort of move is.
Okay. So you start scrambling below decks as the ships come in. Jane,
Yes.
what's your plan?
Man, can I shoot someone?
All right, so you're you leave the piloting of the ship to the others because right now there's two different ships that are at far range, so this is kind of where you need to start engaging before anyone else. You get your crossbow ready and look out in either direction. There's a ship coming from aft that's going towards you directly, but you know that you're going to be dropping bombs from this ship. There's another ship coming forward that's going to intercept the military ship. Both of them are single-masted ships. They're small. There's going to be one person who's working the wheel, and a couple of other... There's probably one person working the sails, and then everyone else is going to be a soldier.
Yeah, like if I can shoot the person working the wheel, that's kind of my shtick, you know?
Just assassinating who's ever on the wheel.
Yeah.
So there's
it does seem to
fore
be
and
very
aft.
effective for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon, what'd you say, Will?
There's a fore ship and an aft ship.
Yeah. The one that's going towards the military ship is what I'm talking about. The one that we're not going to be throwing bombs at.
All right, so you move towards the front of the ship. It's on the the port side, so you nestle in your crossbow into one of the grooves in kind of the what's it called, like the battlements you guys had installed earlier in the campaign. From there, you're comfortable. You go in a little bit, right against the wood, and settle for your shot. Here, you can see it slowly coming in.
Nice. Should I roll for it?
Do you hijack any of the battery power for like Otto's targeting, or do you just use your mundane sniping?
Could I reasonably do so without alerting Sun?
There is an obnoxiously large power cable already prepped for this.
Mm-hmm.
Sun is babying his baby instead of you. Like, the
Okay.
cable's there if you want it.
Okay, yeah, then yes, absolutely, I do.
Okay, so as it's spooling up, Otto looks at you and goes, "Yeah, 30 seconds before that thing starts to overheat. Go, go, go."
Nice. Okay, yeah, so I'm totally gonna use it. I forget exactly how that works. Should I just make like a normal sniper shot?
Yep, but double damage. So you take the cable out of the generator as it's starting to heat up. You can see a spark as you uncouple it because it is still actively charging. You plug it into your crossbow with the attachment that you got from the last heist. There's a little kind of zzz as the front section starts to power up. As you're putting down your crossbow bolt, it's enough to knock it, but there's like the faintest tug forward on it.
Okay.
You're loaded, you're ready, and as you settle in on the other side of the scope, you can see Otto's reticle moving in, and as you move, Otto mimics your movements and like Otto targets for you a little bit. You can see like even though it's in your hand, there's like a little like wind compensation vector that you're zeroing.
Okay, so yeah, so a normal sniper shot would be a 94 for this. I don't know if I have to add anything.
So you steady in. You've got it ready, and then you switch over, and you like get Otto uses the rangefinder, and you adjust, and you can see like your arc starting to impact. You let loose a shot. You can hear a little crack as the like the solenoid on the front of the crossbow accelerates the bolt. You see it arc past past the scope, you're seeing it with the naked eye. It moves forward with the wind, gets pulled, and then by momentum comes back a little bit and embeds itself in the side of the pilot's neck. You can see the ship turn in the wrong direction and lose control. The military ship in front of you takes a couple shots, and one of them embeds itself right through the middle of the ship, and the ship starts to take on a little bit of water, not enough to sink it yet. The other one goes wide. Otto and Croquill still have turns. Jane, you quickly, after the shot, take this out, and as you spark it back into the generator, there's an even bigger lightning flash. You feel heat, but your hand doesn't burn. You just like got close enough to jack it in, and then it's like, ooh, shit.
Perfect.
Otto, you can see like almost like a little emoji face. For a second, things flash red, and he's like, "Oh, that's good shit."
Oh. One of those cyber jewels.
I don't know what Crowquill's doing just yet. Are any of the ships really in range for my tomfuckery? Probably not.
No, not yet.
Yeah. And like, I feel like they've been hexed enough, but I kind of want to hex whoever gets at the wheel of the person that Jane just shot. To like try and recover it. If there's a person going for it, I'll hex him.
That's pretty funny. Like I shoot a guy and they have to like push his corpse out of the way and then immediately gets hexed.
Yeah, and so the guy's like hexed and he's trying to recover, but he gets his Lefty and Lucy wrong.
Yeah.
And unscrews the wheel.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man, this empire is gonna be like, listen, we found the one way that we're gonna secure this blockade, and that's sort of an enclosed wheelhouse. They'll have no recourse.
It's true. It's really my shtick to just shoot the person at the wheel.
It's like the Pope Mobile.
Yeah.
Just a raised plexiglass square. You're sitting there piloting the ship, waving at the snipers, going as it goes tunk, tunk.
Like birds hitting the window.
So as you're closing in, the other ship, it hesitates to take an angle because it's trying to get real close in behind you and pursue for a while to keep you kind of like with a fire lid under your ass. The ship in front of you, however, after the first shot from the military and the hex from Croquill, you can see like one of the soldiers immediately goes in to try and steady the wheel and then grabs it and then almost comically like and kind of like trips and falls, and you can see the wheel kind of sharply spin.
Oh.
So funny.
Me and the boys intensifies.
Off key.
Alright, there's still a ship behind you.
Right. Bombs. Bombs for that guy.
Yep, I actually do. I believe I made 2 sea mines, and I only used one of them on the way in.
Did I rune up the other one?
I don't think so.
Okay, well I should rune up the other one.
Okay. So you guys spend some more time moving forward. The military ship, you can see they reload their cannons and prepare for anyone else to approach. On the far side, one of the searcher ships is coming back in almost like, I won't say on the side that the vulnerable ship is on. You're still fully in formation, like you have a lot of length to go and a bunch of daggers, but this thing's coming out way in front, kind of from that side of the outcropping. It's maybe in Jane's reach, but not in Otto's. Like, it's way beyond you guys. The other ship is right on your ass.
Well, yeah, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to ruin up this sort of submersible depth charge, that might not be a bad plan.
All right.
I see thumping a big barrel down in front of you.
I just pop the top of it off a little bit and like like swap the lid over and just like rub some shit on it, like throw some feathers inside, rub some like different runes in there, and like throw some more salt, and then plop it down and go, okay, throw it overboard.
All right then.
Say when.
I'm like, look at my thumb, looking at the wind as this ship is a couple meters behind us, and
So you chuck this thing over right as these guys are starting to get on their like right on your ass. You can see actually like Kennedy goes, that shit. And he like, or sorry, I shouldn't have said Kennedy. Tiana is the one who turns around and goes, ah shit, and like moves her way to the other side of the wheel so that basically she's like steering it from behind using like the steering column as cover, trying to make sure she doesn't get shot. Bilgy hands the like ropes for the sails over to Rooker as he starts to draw out a flintlock, and he fires a pot shot at the ship behind you guys. Who's turn?
All right. Let's fucking explode that boy.
Yep, I'm just kind of watching it.
Yeah, is it in range of the?
Yep. All right, give me some rolls.
Okay.
What do I need to roll? Do I need to roll anything, or is it all Gabe's bomb?
You glyphed it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. So a munitions roll.
So do I need to roll ritual for that, or no?
You would roll elemental if it's a glyph.
Okay.
You can just do it right in Google and it'll do it for you.
Oh, wow.
That is a 27 for munitions. Yeah, basically a munitions craft roll.
All right, an elemental
22.
fire or something else?
Elemental fire, 22.
All right, so as you snap, there's an initial like burst of flame, and then it's almost like boom, boom, and then there's the ignition of all the like powder inside of the barrel. An area around the charge, because it's just kind of floating in the water, it doesn't do the full like lightness and boom, boom, like spike upwards like plume of water that happens with a depth charge that's all the way down. This one kind of is just like almost like a crater of water around the front of the ship. It takes a section of the front hull with it, and you can see like people inside moving to try and cover it up. There's one more person on the deck of the ship who aims a shot at Croquill.
Oh, jeez. Would I be able to see this coming and try and like jump and tackle Croquill below those barricades? I'm fine taking the damage.
So you run back below, you load a couple of cannonballs in and run back up. And as this happens, you can see someone aiming and you quickly dive in front of Croquill. This is going to be...
So,
Croquill, you idiot!
So me expecting this shot, can I ward? But I have the warden ability, so can I instead ward the dumbass?
It's 12 damage.
Oh god.
12, all this for 12.
Oh, okay. No, I'm gonna.
It doesn't hit.
I know it doesn't hit, but I'm rolling ward anyway. Just because I want to see how much cumulatively this doesn't hit. Let's see if it. Well, it's not even gonna get to your armor. That is 15, 21. So yeah, no.
See, Sunsea is a person who cannot see, not seeing a gunshot coming in. Whereas a person who cannot see is like, got a bad feeling. I'm capable in a war zone.
Well, you didn't use Omen Watcher. And you don't know this attack is coming until there's a loud bang. So you wouldn't necessarily be able to use Warden.
I mean...
How about my other skill that I haven't used since like session 1? Close call. In which I can warn someone they're about to get shot.
Fair point.
I think some combination of those two, along with Warden, should at least give me the ability to go, son, you dumbass. I am fine, you don't need to protect me.
I'm gonna play this a little different, actually. Croakwill, you feel this coming, so you snap, and as you snap, you hear, like, there's a magical link to Sun. Like, this is part of your ward. Sun comes out, and you hear the clunk of a bullet hitting, like, a bulletproof vest, and he slams down on the ground with a little flash of white. You just kind of dust off your shoulder a little bit.
Oh, you're not Croakwill. We got the barricades for a reason. It's not like you're looking out at them anyway.
The barricades are only useful if the bullets had any chance of getting to me. They don't. And Croakwill walks away.
Yeah, I gotta teach that girl about ballistics.
So the ship behind you starts to veer away after taking some heavy damage. The one shot that would have made it is blocked, and they start to quickly, especially because they have a hole in the front of their ship, they're rapidly decelerating as it floods into the front.
Yeah.
The ship ahead fires a shot that pierces the front, but not the rear sail of the military ship. It's a two-sailed ship, so it's still able to get some amount of thrust, but one of the sails is out.
Ooh.
It fires off another shot in retaliation. You can see it's a chain shot that takes down the ship's mast. So the ship is dead in the water, but based on its positioning, you're going to encounter it anyways from your trajectory. You can see they're reloading the cannons for another shot. Otto is still at full charge.
All right, Otto. As soon as you're within range, you let them have it.
Line of sight, right? Free trajectory?
Yeah, that's sounds about right. Reckon
You
you're still
see
a little ways
Otto.
off.
You see Otto point directly at the civilian ship, and then in an irregular beat go tunk, 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 and you see like micro cannon 1, 2, 3, 4 go like before
Not the
ship,
civilian ship.
between the sails with 2 shots, and then like another one behind.
Oh nope, it was an easy mistake to make. The other ship.
Roll the damage for Otto.
This is on the civilian ship. Otto, please.
No, it's not on the civilian ship. He
Oh.
purposely missed the civilian ship.
He shot around them, but
God.
Yeah.
Like
even
machine guns on propeller planes. Like this
Yeah.
is still one of those things where it's like Otto, no, but he does hit the enemy.
All right. In that case, I'm not reprimanding him. I'm saying, oh man, I love robotic precision.
I love this ship because it's basically me going, okay, I'm going to give you guys a ship with 2 masts, and then this is what you came up with.
This is 27. 27 for Otto.
And I think it's doubled, right?
Yes. So a total of 56, I believe.
So you watch as like all of the civilians go and like duck down. These things leave the ship completely intact, and the far one you can see takes a bunch of hits to like the lower frame. That with the previous hit, like they're already starting to tilt down. You can see the gunners start to tilt the cannons to try and aim, but it's not really usable, and they all start moving to start like getting ready to abandon ship. You are free of the blockade. About half of the blockade is left with both of the heavy gunships, but they're not coming after you. The other ships like briefly close in to make sure everything's good. Is everything good?
Yep.
seems
we're
fine
all,
to me.
All fine here.
Head count, how we do?
Everyone seems to be present. You can see the military ship dismantles their like forward sail and starts to affix it back up. Before too long, they're able to set sail again, and they continue escorting the other ship till they get to the Hookway.
All right.
Where are you going?
Boy, I sure hope that, that old lady we met in the rookery, I sure hope her son was on that civilian ship, or she's going to be pretty upset.
Yeah. Well, I think Redwine is closer.
Red wine it is, I believe.
Because all we have to do is head a little bit more west in order to hit Redwine.
Yeah.
Well, the wind starts to shift towards the northeast. It's not hard against you. It's just kind of going. You move. You'd be moving northwest to go to Redline Keep.
Okay.
It's a good thing I read that before it hit the ground. That's going to be just before you would trip into the next quadrant.
Oh, damn.
But more like northward than the other way.
Like that way?
Yeah, right there. You sail into the dinner hour a little bit. You start to press a little just to make sure you're away from, like firmly away from the blockade. They don't send any of their scragglers out for revenge.
Good.
The wind starts to die a little. What wards are against the ship?
Specifically an anti-scrying ward. I've been keeping that one up ever since that one attack.
All right.
So
you and Bilgy both detect an attack against the ship, but it's not scrying.
Can I figure out what type it is?
Yes. Give me a roll for it. You can either immediately move to defend, or you can move to identify, which might be a better long-term strategy.
Croakle definitely would identify before defending.
Okay.
Bilgy could defend.
Wait.
While you identify.
You know what, Will? Since you brought it up earlier, Omen Watcher, how do I feel about this attack?
You have a very bad feeling about this.
Then I should probably defend this. Bilgy can identify.
Bilgy's great at identifying.
All right, so you throw up your hands in either direction and start muttering, and you go, Bilgy, what is this?
Volsky analysis.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I only rolled a 20.
So he starts to mutter, and he goes, curse. It's a greater curse. So you rolled a 20, you said?
Yeah.
You feel the first magical wave start to press in. Almost like the darkness before a tornado is about to hit, you feel the curse starting to prep, so by the time your defenses are up and you've already half invoked them, that's when this starts to wallop in. The first one is an 18.
Okay. I am going to boon Bilgy and ask him to help defend.
So as you move to prepare your boon, there's another attack before you can do so. You could use your off turns if you wanted to, but for magical purposes, this counts as an onslaught.
All onslaught, yeah.
Okay.
How much is onslaught? I haven't onslaughted in ages.
10 stamina, I believe.
10? Okay.
That sounds right. I gotta dip out for a sec. I will return.
Yep. I'm gonna switch back to the main cam real quick and get us all nice and organized. That way.
While Gabe's taking care of some stuff, we'll just say that Sun is below decks.
Yep.
That's
The sun
You've got-
is much more. Did you prepare that?
Yes.
so you're holding 15.
I'm defending against 15?
Mhm.
Okay.
You rolled a 20.
Well, like, I'm onslaughting to defend against it again because the first attack was an 18, which means that my
Yeah.
ward would be at 2. So,
Yeah, and so
so I'm basically refreshing it with a 21.
okay, so you've got a buffer of that would be 8, I believe. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay. And what did you tell Bilgy? You booned him, and you were
I
basically
booned
like,
him.
"Keep fighting this."
I booned him and said, help me defend against this.
All right. He starts to boon as well, and immediately you start to feel more and more pressure. The last time that someone tried to scry at you, they were a team of you felt the first mage and the second. Now here's the third. For 13.
Okay.
Fourth for 12. So 25 total.
Okay. I'll onslaught again.
Okay, Bilgy does as well.
Man, putting my fucking work in on this one. Jeez.
Bilgy gives you plus 10.
Okay, that makes the total 30.
Okay. So that was a total of 4 mages that attacked, right?
Yep.
Okay. You feel another skilled mage coming in for... That would be 17, and it's back to your turn.
That's
You
so
can
cool.
you can feel the potential of more mages coming in. They brought a large team for this.
I'm going to fucking attack them again. I'm going on the offensive. I'm telling Bilgy to hold down the fort. I'm fucking doing this.
Crocodile is defending against 5 mages by herself.
No, with
Like,
Bilgy is definitely helping on this one. And also these mages are just kind of like, you know, as if it's the situation where they basically all have me pinned down against the wall and I'm just like trying to fucking survive and they're just like,
Yeah.
boom.
So you,
Boom.
what's your difference at? You're still positive, right? There's still
Yes.
positive buffer?
Yeah.
Do you know how much it is?
I believe 5.
Okay. I'll give you these numbers because I'll forget, but they're technically Bilgy's. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay. So to buffer it, Bilgy rolls a 17.
Okay.
There are 2 mages that attack. The first one is not a skilled mage, just a regular trained mage for 14. Still positive, right?
Yep, still positive.
Another regular trained mage for... No, that's not right. 17.
That'll break it, unless I defend. But I'm specifically going on the attack to
Yeah, so
fuck these guys up.
basically this is like there's a juncture. You can tell that the ward is broken, but it's like an intersection for magic, so now is the best time for you to offend. So it's
Yeah.
your turn.
Yeah.
There are 2 mages that you can feel their spells coming at you, but you have the jump on them.
Yeah. I want to counter curse them, I guess.
Curses are all about creativity. How are you cursing them?
I kind of want to curse them all with like dulled senses. Like it's the kind of thing of just like, okay, fuckers, here's how you become a powerful mage. Let me just remove your eyes for a moment. For however long this is, I'm going to make you regret signing up with this asshole. I
Are you just
warned
blinding
you.
them?
I'm blinding them.
Woe to those who attack the vessel of the blind mage, for you shall
Exactly.
become blind yourself, and you snap and you whoom.
Yes, thank you.
What do you roll for that?
I roll hopefully well.
Hopefully.
Mediocre. Cool. Could have been worse.
Could have been better.
Could have been better. That's a 23.
All right. 23. You set out a surge, and the mages that were attacking switched to defending. The first one is a trained mage going for... going to be 11, and you said 23, so you've got 12 left.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is a 10, so you've got 2 left.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My time has come. Press the advantage with another onslaught.
Okay, you can still feel the connection of 2 more mages. As you're onslaughting, it's almost like, you know the meme of like, from Umbrella Academy, like seeing the person in the other car as you pass?
Yeah.
There's a magical thread, a deep, vibrant red one that whizzes past you towards Bilgy.
Bastard.
You were onslaughting, I believe?
Yes. I need to roll the damage for that. By the way, I would also like to point out my current stamina is 69.
Nice.
Alright, not bad, not bad.
I feel the need to point it out.
Good value to have your stamina at.
Have I seriously rolled 20, 21, 22, 23, and now 24?
Nice.
Good job.
I think that lets you move like another 3 squares in cribbage if you happen to be playing it nearby.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've made a net gain on this one each and every turn, so if I just keep rolling, eventually they won't be able to do anything about it.
Mhm.
You'll
Alright.
roll a 7 on your 6-sided die.
I do 100 damage now. Everyone is now blind and mute.
Yeah. I've killed all of them, actually.
I've murdered all of them.
So, as you push forward and you repel 2 trained mages from the circle, you repel another apprentice, and there's a last one who you don't fully inflict the curse on, but who's still pushed out of the circle. You don't feel any additional mages.
Okay, what about the red thread?
So you wouldn't see this, but the rest of you see Bilgy, like, wipe aside a little drip of blood from his nose a little bit and keep going, holding up his hands.
Guy doesn't even have any fucking creativity in his curses. God.
There's another wave that starts to come.
Fucking, I want to kill them all!
So everyone else on the ship, you're watching as, like, basically Croquill and Bilgy jump into high alert. You, Jane, look at Tiana a little bit, and you see Rooker kind of poke around. The sails that have rattled are starting to still, and they eventually just stop. Your ship, you can feel still cleave the water, and it starts to slow. There's another assault.
Question, Will.
Hmm?
I know these attacks are coming.
Yep.
Can I use Warden on Bilgy?
Good question.
As, like, just a separate off turn, right?
I think I'll rule no, just because these are exclusively within, like, ritual space.
Fair enough. I am concentrating all effort on fucking them up.
It's more that it's like these are like text messages when a ward is meant to defend against thrown rocks kind of thing.
Gotcha.
It's just a different kind of field.
Gotcha.
So you feel the first of the expert mages surge forward with a, what would that be? That's going to be a 18.
To defend, or do I have to breach that? With
At this point, you would be defending against it.
Okay. Is that an onslaught, or is that...
We're back to turn...
We're back to turn order? Okay. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my rolls. I consistently get 1 5 or a 6, and then everything else is below a 3 every single time.
Why don't you like boon yourself? Can't you do that?
I don't have time to boon myself.
Because it counts as an action, and a boon is always less valuable than just rolling it yourself.
Yeah.
Boons are broken as fuck, except they're not as good as just rolling it separately.
I could defend. With 1 boon and 1 shield. I could defend against 3 novices in a single turn, but I don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So that is going to be 21.
21?
The streak is broken.
So they attack and you repel. You're starting to build up a defense. Bilgy does the same. What was your defense at? I think you had an excess of 3. So Bilgy adds to that another 18.
Okay.
I'll be back in a bit. You guys have a chance to RP as like this whole thing is happening in like mage space. Croakwill is holding up against an onslaught.
A fucking feel bad onslaught on this one.
Or like everybody else is just kind of like, huh?
Everyone else is just like, this is weird. We're not able to move the ship at all. Like,
Yeah.
how strange.
And you guys are like in the middle of the ship going like, and we're just like,
Okay, alright, yeah, uh-huh.
I have 0 magical.
I know.
And no points.
Bilgy and I are the
magical.
only ones on the ship with magical, except for maybe Rutger, but he doesn't have any ritual.
Yeah.
He's just
So,
a
like,
shapeshifter.
Yeah, so like I don't notice anything.
Yeah.
You guys are just doing like a weird performance.
Yeah, we're basically both just like, picture the climactic scene at the end of like, I don't know, Percy Jackson or some shit like that. Like the end of Harry Potter, basically just like, no, must defend.
Yeah, exactly. But there's like no special effects or anything.
Occasionally,
just like.
Occasionally, Croakwill takes a step forward, and Bilgy's nose started to bleed.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there like eating some popcorn, like this is good shit.
It's like, okay, yeah, all right, this is going well. I think, maybe, I don't know. They're doing something.
Maybe it's going very badly. I don't actually know.
It's going. It's going
progressive.
very.
Yes. It very much do go.
It go?
It go.
We're sitting here discussing everything from Jane's POV, which is
Yeah.
basically just like the climactic scene in an end of a movie where I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Like, you see Croakwill occasionally take a step forward against nothing.
But there's no special effects,
Yeah.
no music, no nothing.
It's like
Jane,
It's like
Jane has 0 magical, so she doesn't even feel anything. It's just like these people like standing in a boat, like being weirdos. And it's like, okay, yeah.
it's the fucking, it's the Avengers Endgame, like pre-CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So, Jane, you're here out on the boat while you see, like, the wind has fully died, the sails have gone still. There are still waves gently lapping against the edge of the boat. Let's go back into magic space. More of the trained but not expert mages are attacking. You sense that there's a total of 10 of them, 2 experts, 2 novices, 6 trained. One of them you can feel is a thread of vibrant malice against you.
I want to kill that thread. Above all, I want to cut that thread. I want to make that... I want to basically start a curse that's essentially, your magic is brought through malice, let it end. and cut his connection to magic.
All right.
Okay.
Give me a roll for it.
And you know what? I am gonna let one through for the sake of booning myself for this one.
Okay.
I am gonna let that one through for the sake of booning myself. Because we still have 21 shields, so I'm just gonna... Oh wait, no, I'm booned. What am I doing?
I'm starting to think that maybe the Pop-Tarts were a bad idea.
So we get some gurgles.
My tummy is...
Your tummy do a gurgle.
It's thinking like, I don't know, Chelsea, that
was...
I don't know.
After shoveling so much pasta, that might not have been the best call.
You had like an entire bowl of pasta, Chelsea. Like, what is your problem?
You know where I haven't been in ages? It's a place in town, Spaghetti Eddies.
Spaghetti Eddies.
Where the whole gimmick is like, instead of making it fancier or more elaborate or a weird recipe, they just give you more pasta. So you're like, oh, what's a $15 bowl of pasta? It's $15 of pasta.
It's
But it's so good because it's like you'll be like, okay, I want the carbonara. And you get the carbonara, and you're like, yep, that's carbonara. And you go, wait, much like pizza, the baseline quality of all pasta is positive. So it's basic pasta. The recipe that you asked for, like, I always go for the carbonara. That's why I mention it. But like, then you realize just how much you have, and it's like, oh.
It's actually
Oh,
only...
this is what we're doing.
Spaghetti Eddies is actually like 2 or 3 meals worth of pasta. Like, you have to be either really fucking hungry, or it's definitely like 2 meals.
If it's ever like decades and decades from now, and I'm the kind of dude who's like, I got a whole bunch of investment money, I'm gonna open a restaurant.
Yeah.
I'd do something along that ethic, like the idea of just giving people lots of food. It's like, there is no replacement. It's not even down to any kind of like, oh, I think we should have restaurants to give people lots of calories to get through their day. It's like, no, that like there's just no other market for. I want a
fucking
bucket.
Good.
Yeah. Maybe I want 3 pounds of rice.
Maybe that sounds great. By the way, I rolled a 34 to sever this dude's connection with magic.
So you, through the mage space, you grip onto this thread of malice, and you can see it's linked kind of causally through the bilge water into the meta entity that includes its sailors. From there, you start to yank on it, and you can feel its roots deep within the individual that you're pulling on. I will say that what you've done is impossible. I will also call it a success. Therefore, I want you to roll a really important d6.
Just one very important d6. Okay. Uh-oh. Do I have to say what I rolled?
What's it, a 1? Oh.
It was a 1.
So you feel yourself start to slip. Just barely. Something on the other end rips, and you feel what's like a magical screaming at its source, but most of it is still firm. And you slip out of mage space and brace yourself against the deck and the mast nearby. Bilgy also falls out of mage space. He stops and he just goes, I can't, it'll start hurting me. We got a curse coming.
Uh-oh.
The water hasn't become still yet. It's just like almost beyond what the wind nearby would suggest, still lapping against the ship. An entity that's visible in the mage space and in real life appears right on the edge of your masthead on the front of the ship. It's in the shape of the sailor that you wronged a long time ago. Points a finger up towards all of you and kind of mutters, "Murder!" and disappears into sea foam.
I haven't killed one.
we
say
barely
having
killed anyone.
I'd say having killed somebody literally moments ago.
Yeah. We just kind of look at it and just kind of go, well, that's kind of rude. We didn't kill him at all, unless he's planning to murder us, in which case, well, we gave as good as we got.
Yeah. A good run, I think, you know?
Your ship is slowly being jostled by the waves, just gently, a meter this way, a meter that way, a little forward, a little back.
Alright, Bilge. Clearly we're dead in the water from the curse. How do we get out of this? I know that you don't like this idea, but we have the elements on our side. We can bend them to our will and put them in the sail.
He kind of mutters and starts to think. And he goes, "Would our time better be spent counter-cursing?"
If I reach out magically, can I feel where the curse is to start countering it? Or is it something that's just, I have to find the right words to counter this?
It's closer to the right words, but not quite. This curse is it's a group rite, which meant a bunch of mages had to put it together. And so it's layered, and there's individual components that can be like pulled off like seals. These are somatic rites, though. You would have to individually like engage in an action for each of the curse actions.
We'd have to replicate like 10 different people doing their actions. Other than the people that got knocked out. How many people did I manage to take out with me? 3! Yeah!
That's pretty good.
Well, 3, and you reduced your nemesis's magical score by 1.
Woo!
Like,
that's
permanently.
A plus. That's a plus. Only have to do that a maximum number of 10 times.
But probably not 10.
But probably not 10.
So the guide on my electric razor slipped when I was shaving today. And I had to shave everything that wasn't, because it was right in the middle of my chin. So the entire beard had to go for style reasons. I mean, it's so weird going to tug on your chin and just feeling chin. It's wrong.
Man, that is how I feel all of the time.
I mean, since basically I have 2 states of unshaven and shaven, I know how you feel. It does feel weird. But for me it feels nice, because it's like, ah yes. I have adulted. I have bothered to be kempt.
It's the opposite goals, you know? Well, the first thing right now is that the wind has died.
Okay. Well, take stock. Bilge, how you doing?
Bilge writes himself and he goes, "Tired, not wounded."
Same.
It is dinner. And Bilge kind of looks down past the cargo hatch and goes, "It is dinner."
It is dinner.
Why don't we like to? Yeah,
Let's take a break. We did success. We're not being tailed by anything.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Let's go. What about the other ship? The other ships that were with us. Did they just part ways and they went in a different direction?
They parted ways before the curse hit.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So yeah, Dinner. We'll worry about the impending doom after dinner.
That's good. You know,
Yeah.
that's how I like to think about things too.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ship very lightly is jostling from side to side. You don't hear any wind, you're just present in the water. Rooker gets a little bit of, like, pork belly stew put together. Gives you guys all a piece. There's kind of like a larger chunk of shaved off meat in the middle with a bunch of little bits of veggie and stew in there.
You know, we kind of should have killed that guy when we had the chance.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know he was going to be such a dick.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. We didn't know he was going to be such a dick. I can't believe he got so many people to come and attack us. He got like 10 people. 10 powerful mages to try and... Well, not all of them were powerful, but some of them were powerful.
Tiana sits there and goes, well, if 1% of people are total morons, and he put out 1,000 flyers, that'd do it.
You're... Yep. I can't fault your logic.
Rooker kind of shrugs and he goes, I know it's harder, but paranoia killings don't make me feel good. Revenge killings make me feel great. Because then it's justice. Then we have a reason.
True.
Then, if anyone asks, we can go, you should hear what this guy did.
He attacked us twice.
Twice?
And the first time, I let him off with a warning. I should not have let him off with a warning.
Well, maybe you should have. Because other people, warnings work.
I mean, maybe I should have just, like, killed some of the lesser mages that were there with him the first time. Because, like, if I had done that, maybe less people would have signed up.
Bilgy kind of sits there and goes, well, I kind of took the whole thing a little personally. Maybe it's personal enough that he wouldn't care if someone else gets hurt.
I mean, I'm not talking about him caring about recruiting people. I'm talking about other people perhaps hearing the fact that every mage that he's recruited has died.
Kennedy, like, gestures towards you, kind of nodding, and he goes, I can't think of the last time someone said, hey, come sit in this mage circle for completely innocent reasons that you have nothing to do with.
Right? So just, you know, next time I'm just gonna kill a couple more. I blinded 3. I'm gonna...
Like, permanently, or...?
Yeah. Yeah, until they can counter curse it.
Is that hard to do?
They have to know I'm blind.
Okay.
In order to really understand where the curse is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who knows?
Not like a big secret, but like...
Yeah, it's not exactly something I keep secret, but it was fun at the time. If I had known there were going to be so many of them, I would have thought of a more creative curse.
You finish dinner as you're all still jostling in the waves with the becalmed sea.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get to work. It's about time, I earn my pay, I guess. I'm gonna get to work trying to counter curse this. Because we would have a long way to go for me to put elemental wind in the sail.
Guess we could start paddling.
Like, put the apparatus out and just kind of, like, stroke the apparatus's cannons along the water. We kind of don't have a rowing hull, do we? At all. It's been...
It wouldn't make sense for the boat you have.
Yeah, that's true. We're not like a trireme or anything like that.
Guess we're just hanging out for now.
Yeah.
Alright.
Have fun with that. So, what do I need to do the counter cursing actions?
Given your character, I feel like it makes more sense to not have you roll, especially because logically, for something that's inevitable, rolling doesn't make sense. You spend some time sensing it out. You have to store the flags.
Store the flags. Okay. So, do we need to take down our flag? Like, I'm telling that to... I just kind of go to Bilgy and just go, we have to store the flags.
That's what I feel too.
Any idea what that means? Take down our flags?
Yeah.
Yo, Jane, need some help. We need to take down our flags.
Alright.
Maybe this is
Sure.
maybe this is like a car, you know, we just gotta turn it off and back on again. Because that's how cars work.
That is how cars work. It's more how computers work, but... Yeah.
Sorry, when I was thinking car, I had one of the final scenes from Speed Racer in my head. That movie is fucking great.
This is something that came up in a conversation I had recently with people. It's wild how between kind of the boomer generation and the millennial to zoomer generation, we got access to the internet, which meant we got access to all the old movies. So instead of being like, oh, you kids would be too young to remember that, like, if you're a zoomer, you can just go, like, watch the Andy Griffith Show. Like, it's the wildest thing where suddenly the disconnect of, like, old people facts stops being present because just you can look it up.
Yeah, you could just, we could just look it up, it's fine.
Like, everyone has seen Tom and Jerry cartoons. Everyone's seen Bugs Bunny cartoons. You can be like, first Disney animated film and then watch Steamboat Willie, you know? It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. But I was thinking more of, like, the newer Speed Racer film.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's actually fucking good. Like, it's camp. It is camp to the highest degree.
It's the only way.
It's the only way you could do it. But, like, also the visual effects in it are really solid. Really, really solid.
Like one of those things where all the effects designers figured this would be good to put in a resume for a better job.
Like, yeah, kind of. Like, everyone was just like, okay, this movie is going to be the most, like, ripped apart schlock, or this is going to be a relatively okay movie with great visual effects. We get to choose. And they chose great visual effects, and it's actually just a fantastic movie.
Shit, I gotta watch I gotta watch the Speed Racer movie.
It's a good time. It's a great time.
So, Jane, you clamber your way up to the top of the ladder in the forward mast. You take the flags, you roll them up as proper and store them where they need to be in the box. You're extra careful because Croakwill gets really mad when they're not in the right spot.
They used to go over
From
there.
where you are in the crow's nest, you can see, like, not only can you feel that the ship has stopped jostling with the waves, but the sea around you, almost like a ripple outward, goes calm.
You know, I think it actually made that worse.
Maybe you gotta make it worse to make it better.
Alright. Now what? Now the flags are away.
The sea has gone still. What would you think to do?
From Croakwill's perspective, she only knows how to solve solutions magically. And so Croakwill doesn't have any mental skill for magic. She has 0 mental and 0 dice and 0 dots in Arcana. So, like, she only knows how to brute force.
Yeah.
And she's going to do exactly that. She's trying to brute force this counter curse as much as she can.
Okay, so this is like, it's not even about the sea has gone still, so the sea must be reawakened. It's like, wind's gone. Get the wind back. Something changed? I don't care. Get the wind back. Like that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like, we have a problem we need to solve. I don't know what the fuck this could possibly do or what this could possibly mean, so I just need to get this up and running again and just break it down.
So you, just out of frustration, you get a bunch of like elemental wind just to try to go, I can paddle. The ship lurches back and forth. It kind of like pulls the wrong way on the sails each time. You can feel the rope straining. The ship just kind of goes like and drifts like a quarter of a meter while barely not capsizing when you try it.
Okay. Make the sea happy. How, Bilgy, how do you make the sea happy?
I don't know. You're putting a lot of pressure on me.
Rooker, any thoughts on making the sea happy?
Give it good dinner?
Yeah, I could.
You know, that's not a bad idea. How do you give dinner to the sea? Well, if that bastard was here, I'd just throw him overboard.
Tiana's like damn straight and holds up a fist.
I'll give her a fist bump.
You hold up a fist, and then she kind of adjusts. Like,
Yeah, she has to adjust accordingly. Jane, thoughts on making the sea happy?
I got an 8 to think of how to make the sea happy.
With what skill?
Arcana.
Well, if something stopped, then there's got to be some kind of unstopping, or if things are still, there's got to be an unstillening.
Unstillening.
You can either push through to an inevitable or stay back with a counter agent. That's something you remember, but that's not really your strong suit.
Have you tried whisking it?
Whisking it, you say?
Water.
Just give it a big old. The
yeah.
entire water, or just just us? Like, are we just gonna jostle a little bit? Like how?
Yeah, maybe not the boat. Maybe just the water.
Are there any animals nearby?
Roll Druid.
I haven't used this in a while. Okay. 6, 12, 22.
22. You feel smaller fish kind of elsewhere where the sea's jostled and it's a bit more oxygenated, but you can draw them in here.
I'm gonna draw them in. Can't make it any worse.
You start to draw in the fish, and you can feel the seal kind of roll over. You feel the presence of a bunch of sharks starting to pursue. They start to eat up the school of fish, and before long they're starting to circle around the ship itself. They're all moving more or less the same way, clockwise.
So they're all moving clockwise. What if we moved counterclockwise?
The boat.
Do you direct people to do that?
I'm gonna say yeah. Like, Bilgy, thoughts on counterclockwise?
Wittershins, I agree. And immediately he moves to the other end of the boat and starts to move counter to you along the edge of it.
Okay.
We're walking in a circle.
Everyone-
Is that what we're doing?
Counter.
Okay.
Follow the captain, the captain, the captain.
Oh
Tiana
my
just kind of
God.
shrugs and starts to walk. So does Rooker.
Have you tried pumping air in?
Pumping air into what? Sorry?
Into the water?
Into the water?
Yes. Maybe in a counterclockwise.
Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Let's try it.
So are you going to be like pumping air into the water, or are you doing the counterclockwise thing?
You know what? I'm going to do the counterclockwise thing for just a little while. If
Okay.
that doesn't really work.
You move the opposite direction around the ship that the sharks are moving. There's a resistance at first, and then the seal gives, and the sharks start to disperse. That being said, clockwise, opposite the way you're moving around the ship, there's a spiral storm that starts to form. You can see rain in each direction, and above you, just directly up, there's an opening. The clouds themselves and the essence of the rain you feel in your magic.
Well,
I feel like we're making it worse.
maybe. Maybe we gotta make it worse to make better.
Alright, dude. But if we get like a personal storm cloud to just sit over our ship, that I'll be kind of upset.
I mean, we'd never run out of drinking water.
Yes, yeah.
We wouldn't have to waste so much on rations.
Right.
At this point, it's into
It
like the
would be-
late. It's into
it would
late
be-
evening. You're starting to get like the spiral storm darkening.
The rain from that storm would also just be salt water. Like, I know it. And it wouldn't even be drinkable water.
You know what? Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had to do that. They had to some of the storm. So if we broke 2 seals, that would leave what, 8 more?
Why 12? Or
No.
10?
Because I thought I counted 10, or was there 13? How many people were there? Crap.
Well, there were 10 mages, but that doesn't mean there's 10 seals.
Ah, crap.
What's the next one? Stop breaking these. Let's go. We got drugs to sell.
Okay, how do I feel? I put away the flags. I spun the ship around. That's what it's all about. How do I feel about these clouds for our counter curse? If there's magic in them, they must have some sort of connection with them. Can I sense any sort of counter curse in these clouds with the rain?
The clouds are darkening the sky, so maybe with light?
Kennedy, what's the biggest flare you have?
That's kind of a Sun question, and I don't think he'll let you have it.
Damn it.
Why? What do you need?
Well, bad clouds, good light.
Like the lanterns?
That could work. I mean, it's getting dark anyway.
Can you just
Okay.
like throw a witch light up there? Like,
I could. I'll try throwing a giant ball of witchlight up there. Well, the rest of the crew, I guess, lights the lanterns.
lanterns.
All right. The rest of your crew moves around, slowly lighting the lanterns around the area. You send up a witch light into the air. It it starts to dissipate into its component elements as it gets high enough, and then it spreads out. Slowly, as you start to like light up these lamps, you feel the seal turn over again. The curse is moving to it's moved from the waxing to the waning. Its magical essence is weakening, even though it starts to feel more intense in terms of its viciousness. You feel with your druidic magic a bunch of things moving towards the boat, and before too long you all hear them like little plaps on either side of the boat starting to scramble their way up. You hear a really high-pitched like from a bunch of different organisms.
I'm gonna start shooting.
I want them to go right the fuck away.
If any of them crawl onto the deck, I'm shooting it.
Can I identify the biggest one?
They are all of equivalent-ish size. This is a mass of creatures that are all more or less the same size.
Okay, then by like sheer amount of druidness, for the like Grove Druid's ability to summon a monster to fight for them, can I just ask them to not fuck up the ship?
Do you know how many you can control based on size? I feel like there's something around that.
There was. It was like I could control one really big thing based on the number of dots that I have, or I could control many little things. But I don't think there was a maximum number dependent on size ever listed.
Let's see. One animal as a novice, two as trained expert, more powerful result. Okay. So, yeah, want to give me a roll for that?
Yeah. Okay. Have me roll so much. 21.
So you extend out and you can feel yourself starting to command some of these. You're vastly outnumbered, but some of them are starting to pull their compatriots off the edge of the boat. Almost like crabs at the end of a bucket, like sabotaging each other to get higher.
Yay, crab bucket. No one gets to live.
There is one border from the... What would that be? One border from the port bow, two borders from port stern. You see little, like, fishy creatures. They have a fin up their head. They're bipedal with two limbs, finned in between. They get angry little teeth, and they're like a foot tall. So and they're sprinting fast for their size, but not moving fast overall. They're just kind of going, yeah, and going pip, 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 towards you.
Like frogs. Like frogs if they ran on two legs. Okay, well, to arms, I guess. I'm gonna throw a lightning fork. Actually, would that be an onslaught? Because I really can't spare the health.
No, I think that counts as an action.
Okay.
Jane?
I'm shooting a bitch.
All right. Are you moving the one to port, or the one sort of in the front of the ship, or the two in the rear?
Honestly, the first one that I see, or the one that is nearest to me. So I guess one in the front of the ship. I'll shoot him first.
All right, give me a roll.
25 for fork.
All right, you hurl this fork, and it like bounces off of one of them, but it's enough that there's a lightning arc that you hear clap, and you're able to resummon it back into your hand. One of them is roasted, but the other one's still running towards you. Jane, your roll.
Oh, nice. Quality roll.
3, 6, 9, 12, plus 6 is 19. The 4 threes.
It's a solid roll.
Yeah,
completely and totally mediocre.
Yes.
You fire a shot into this thing's chest, and against better judgment, it's still rattling towards you.
Okay.
So there's still one coming to port that's now in the middle of the ship. There's the one from the front of the ship that's heavily wounded but still closing in. There's another one that came from right where you shot the first one, Chelsea. There's also two coming from the starboard bow.
I'm gonna keep shooting the one that I just shot.
All right, give me a roll for it.
Okay, that's a much better roll. $26.
So you smear this thing across the deck as the other one is running towards you. There's now three, all coming from the rear of the boat, starting to overwhelm the steering wheel. Tiana runs away with it, grabs one of them, and like just bodily picks it up and chucks it off of the ship entirely.
Yep. Nope. That's Tiana. That's a Tiana move. Okay.
Back to you.
I would like to have my plappy fish friends pull more fish off the side of the boat so they don't get on.
All right. Want to give me a roll for that?
Okay. $21.
21. You surge forth with your magic and start to influence more of them. The ones that were previously under your influence, your magic stops affecting them, but it's going to take some time until it's fully out of their systems. So they're still kind of like getting more and more lazy as they pull them off, but the ones that you just influenced are starting to help them out and take over. You repel a bit more of them. Right now, there's none coming from the front of the ship. There's two in the rear of the ship because Tiana threw one of them off. Currently, there's two in the middle of the ship. One coming from like the starboard bow, and one coming right from the starboard in the middle of the ship, right near the center mast.
Probably that guy. Guy in the middle of the ship. I'm gonna shoot him. I rolled a 23.
All right, so you move closer to the forward mast to try and like get something to lean against and use for cover because you've cleared it off. With a 23, you shoot this thing and manage to get it to kind of like skitter off against the deck, but it clambers on, gains a hold, and starts to surge in again.
God.
I know, right? It's fucking stupid ass little things.
Are we just gonna sit here and how many are there? Like, do we have to sit here and fight these things? Is there a better way?
So there are two who are in the middle of the ship. One of them jumps onto Tiana and she starts to grapple with it. The other one jumps onto one of you. Who wants to be unlucky?
I'll be unlucky.
Okay, so you
it
feel
feels thematically appropriate that I'm the unlucky one.
You feel webbed limbs start to like clamber up your leg, and it's too fast. Like it's like and they're moving up towards your face. You can feel as like it gets closer at the edge of their webbed limbs. There's like a cut to it, like little claws, not big enough to deal damage, and then this thing sinks its teeth into your shoulder. 4. That would be 22 damage.
Fucking hell. Alright.
So it sinks, and you're like, alright, and you go to try to clamp around its jaws, and then it's like...
If I can, I'm going to try to defend Croakquill. I actually do have a small sword on me. that I never use because I never need to. So I'm gonna try to like knock this thing off with my small sword.
All right, so like these things are starting to overwhelm. There's none behind you, but they're all way too close to Croquill. And like when something a foot high is on your friend's neck, even you can't feel comfortable picking it off, right? So you run forward, either you go from like in the middle of your jacket, and there's a brief bit of eye contact between you and Croquill, where Croquill's like, "You got a sword?" And you clutch it. Want to give me an attack for that?
Yeah. I've had this sword.
I forgot you had this.
21.
So you rush in with a stab. It twists a little, so you catch it like underneath a shoulder, but you go clear through it. Just like the other one with the bolt coming out of it, these things have just like a supernatural ambivalence towards death. It's enough to get this thing to release its grip and fall off a Croquill. So Croquill, you can stagger back a little bit towards Jane. Tiana starts to close in with you as well.
Can I spend like an action to sense how many of these things there are? Like still remaining? Like
I won't catch it as an action.
Okay.
Around your area, there's all of them kind of like clambering onto the ship, but it's almost like a plume. They're just coming from the depths past the edge of your perception. You could feel a taper as they swim from the bottom.
Okay. There's way too much for us to fight off. I need a plan B. These guys have a magical, like, aversion to death, right? So what is causing that magical aversion? What is the counter to a magical aversion to a fear of death? Do I have to, like, Grove Druid them to life? Like, Can I, like, tell what that is going to be? A way to, like, put fear into these monsters?
So you want to put fear into them?
I want to put the fear of death into them, because they appear to be magically afraid of death. Like, they are charging forward with no regard for their own life. For seemingly no reason, like, genuinely, this is just like, they're just plopping onto a ship being like, hey, I'm gonna eat your face. And when we kill them, they're just like, oh, I still want to eat your face.
Zelgil commented 69 remaining, and then the next round comes around and it's like, okay, how many left? And he goes, 420 remaining. It's like, oh god, oh god.
Oh god, it's increasing, no!
Next round, 1337. Ah!
Yeah.
We've reached critical meme.
Yeah, like, figure this out, Croquill. What are we doing? LG.
There are two coming from the starboard stern and one coming from the port bow. At this point, they're starting to circle you.
Bilgy!
Bilgy goes, shit, shit, shit! He rushes past you. You see him, like, use his pistol to shoot one of them off at the trapdoor, and then he knocks it aside, scrambles down. You hear him going, hush the hearth, hush the hearth! There's sounds underneath the boat. You hear the sound of sizzling as Rooker, like, takes a bucket of water and hushes the hearth. The seal turns over. The last of these things, you kind of, like, chuck them off, but now that they're no longer supernaturally controlled, they have the same aversion again, and they scramble off the ship. There's a thundering sound, and then lightning strikes nearby the ship.
I'm fine to go to sleep in a lightning storm. Like, admittedly, I'm in hurt now. That bite took me into hurt.
You need a doctor.
Yeah. It'll be an easy patch up, but I need Rooker to look at me.
Want to roll a d6?
1.
So you take 1 bleed damage.
Okay.
You feel the area around the bite starting to seep a little bit. And then the lightning strikes the forward sail, like just the top of it. You can see that, like, the peak of the sail is starting to light on fire from the lightning strike. You felt the air alter when it hit. Your entire back arcs with thundering of it.
Okay. Elemental opposite of lightning. I don't know it. There's no way that Krokul knows it, and I, the character, don't know. I, the person, don't know the opposite. I just know that it exists.
Does Bilgy? Bilgy might know it.
Yeah, Bilgy, what's the elemental opposite to lightning?
Bilgy goes, lightning, air, water. Okay, water, earth. What's water, earth?
Rucker! Rucker!
Rucker looks at you and goes, oh, that's bad. Okay, here, I have a fun treat for you. Nice little candy.
Oh, yay. Hi.
Oh, hi, I ruined everything.
No, you didn't. It's all fixed.
Hey!
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hello? I'm sorry.
That's all good. So just before I give you the update on the scene, I feel like the best thing to do is resolve the action that just took place.
Okay.
So, Croquil, you open your mouth for the candy and you feel a wooden stick being put in there.
I know what's coming.
There's a whole bunch of vodka being poured directly on your open wound.
Oh,
God.
There we go, wood flavor, best flavor. I try to find wintergreen when I can.
oh God, it's peppermint. Tastes like cedar, the worst kind.
You're in the middle of like a spiral storm. You're in the eye of it, in the middle of this. Lightning has literally struck the mast of your ship that is actively on fire. Let's summarize what Gabe missed.
I feel like Sun actually like comes out of the basement being like, what's going on, guys?
Oh, yeah,
And it's the scene from Community coming back with the pizza.
Legit, how many hours would I have had spent crafting, hammering away with my eye?
Not that long, trust me.
Oh, God.
Ken, you got the stream.
Oh, right. Sorry. Sorry.
Bad weather?
You look around. Part of the ship is on fire.
So, like, I'm gonna guess that Sun was like underneath the ship, like having a nap or something.
I was hammering away. I was focusing. I was getting a barrel perfectly aligned.
And then you hear the commotion that had just happened, which was like fish people, little fish people.
Okay,
coming
so
out, like,
What?
So, Sun, you're sitting there getting things nice and ready, and then things start to get calmer. You're like, oh, good, I've been putting this off. I'll pack the power down. And then the sea's perfectly becalmed, and you go, okay, good, this is nice and even. You start to hear rain. You go, you know what, that's fine. It's just a little humid. I'll have to keep that in account when I'm doing my measurements. I'll add a constant. And then that's when you hear plip, 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 plip coming up the side of the ship, and gunshots, and like, fuck! And then thunder hits, and you see like Croquil go down there with like a bunch of bleeding from a bite wound in the neck, biting down on a stick as like Rooker's sitting there with like a first aid kit half open nearby, pouring vodka on the wound.
So what you missed was when Sun went down below decks, Bilgy and I got magically attacked. We fought off a bunch of them. I blinded 3 of them. And then they put a curse on us that we need to, like, unseal. And the curse keeps coming up with new and worse shit.
So you know how you guys, like, rightfully did a deserved consequence to someone who was doing bad things on the job?
Yeah.
And then the guy followed you, and then the guy hired like 4 other mages.
Yeah.
So you got hit with a 10-man team.
Nice.
10-man team.
And I blinded 3 of them, so they're not coming back.
The wind died, the sea went still, the sharks started to circle, a storm started to gather in a spiral. There were like a bunch of little frog people, sea borders that started to clamber up the edge. So right now you are in the lightning striking the boat phase of the curse.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Well, I go below decks and then come back with a big old bucket and just start bailing water from the boat and dumping it on the fire, I guess.
It's just like, okay, sorry, Bilgy, thoughts on the lightning?
It's poison, but that doesn't seem right. Storm, flares, oh, I don't know. What's the opposite of lightning? I don't know.
Throw some rocks at it. I don't know. Grounding? I don't know. Sun. What does lightning hate? What does electricity hate?
Well, electricity generally hates rubber or some sort of... I mean, if it's lightning, why don't we just get sort of a lightning rod set up?
Perfect. You know? We have auto.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you do that.
True. We would have to move him all the way to the top of the mast anyway.
At this point, Bilgy shows up and he goes, wait, rubber?
Yeah, rubber.
Mint or strawberry? I got 1 cinnamon left.
I prefer mint.
So you see Bilgy go in and he has like a little tin. This is really primitive, but it's like a rubber from the gum tree mixed with like a flavoring agent. He gives you all a little wad of gum.
Okay.
Have I mentioned before that I hate magic?
Numerous times, I assure you.
As the final piece of rubber is like handed out and someone goes to chew it in their mouth, you guys are all sitting there going, and the seal turns over as the lasso of lightning stops. You still hear rain.
Magic.
Who's where?
I'm at the front of the ship.
I am ferrying a bucket, I am bailing, I'm assuming, there's a storm, there's kind of, the water that pools up in the ship. I am scooping that water and putting out the fire on board.
So you, open up the trapdoor to the bilge, and you're, passing them up, and you're getting them up there. You see Tiana climbing up with the bucket to try and put out the flame that's at the top of the mast. The rain is enough to make it go away, but there's a distinct burn mark at the top of your foremast.
Oh, come on now.
Croquill is sort of sitting off to the side. She was lying down on the ground, but now sitting off to the side.
So, Croquill, you're the first to feel you sink. The way that you would with a wave, but you don't get back up.
Oh, fuck. Boat's sinking, but it's not. There's no up wave.
You guys see the water line hasn't altered, but to the northeast there is a tidal wave coming.
Well, that ain't good. All right. Ooh.
Bilgy, can we create a barrier negating water? There might be too much water to negate. I don't even know.
Can you send a wave of equal size? Wave?
Bilgy sits there and he's got both fingers on his temples and he's like, I don't know, you're putting too much of this on me.
Croquill, fix wave.
I'll fucking try. I'm just gonna get up and just be like, all right, I'll see what I can do. boon myself. Pretty sure this is my last boon. I think I've used like 3 out of combat boons, maybe? Something like that.
That seems about right.
Yeah, I've booned a lot this session, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I think there were in-combat boons on top of that, but those don't count on the same
those
counter.
don't count, so I'm just gonna... Oh, 1 dice didn't roll well. There we go.
Do you boon yourself or Bilgy? Because Bilgy's helping.
I guess... I mean, I've already rolled, so I guess Bilgy, but I rolled well, so that feels like kind of a dick move. I'm gonna say Gabe. Odds or evens?
Evens.
Alright. So I'll roll a d6. It's odds. So I boon Bilgy.
Okay.
And I will roll again because that was kind of a dick move to do that.
No, you didn't know. You didn't know.
Well, I rolled the same fucking thing anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, I rolled a 6 and 2 3s, and this time I rolled a 6, a 4, and a 2. So I got a 22.
All right.
Good stuff.
22 with plus 23. So that's 45.
Okay.
You start gathering the water behind your ship and surging it past. First, your ship tilts forward, back, and then it steadies as the wave starts to make its way past. You feel the ritual magic straining as you and Bilgy push forward, and there's an almighty clash as these waves hit each other, and it's a massive hit of sea foam. It sprays up into the air, and there's like a glimmer of rainbow as the storm starts to fade faster than it naturally should with the magical influence.
Fuck
The sea starts to
everything
stipple
about this.
a little bit again. There's a figure that forms at the aft side of your ship that points towards you in the shape of the sailor that goes "Mega," and then dissolves into sea foam.
I am going to murder him.
Things start to normalize again as the wind starts flowing to the southwest.
Now, was he accusing us of murder? Or was he suggesting that as sort of our...
I don't know, don't care. All I know is I want him dead.
Look, I haven't killed anybody.
Cue that scene from Scanners where the guy's head blows up.
Yeah. Oh, before I left, I did find the perfect clip. That's... Oh, never mind. It won't work.
Is this like some kind of gun control logic where it's like, I didn't kill anybody, my crossbow bolts killed people, I had nothing to do with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The crossbow bolt that went through that guy's neck wasn't even me.
Yeah. Now,
Could have been anyone's crossbow bolt.
Yeah.
do you know where these guys are like situated or located or?
No, but I'ma fucking find out.
All right then. Is there any way to prevent this from happening, or do you reckon they've kind of blown the load?
I mean, it'll definitely be a few days before they can mount another assault on us. Besides, they might even think we're dead.
Didn't one of them like show up on the boat and see all of us still alive? And
It's curse.
I see.
Well,
All right.
like,
Well,
would I know that they know that the curse is broken, or like?
Whether broken or not, either way, you guys have time to like recover and think about your moves, because this kind of curse takes a ton of time and resources to prepare. Like, tons of time and resources. Either you would need a very generous benefactor with a lot of connections, or you would just need people. Tons of people.
And I'm gonna find out which it is.
All right. Well, we'll come back for that next time around, I think.
Close on Crocal passing the fuck out.
So you guys can check out the rules of this game at twitch.tv. Sorry, I've lost track of what the actual outro is. You can check out this game at twitch.tv/Mr. Croton, or Croton_live. That's what it is now.
Yes, yes, that is what it is.
It's youtube.com/Croden, I believe. What are your links?
Links. Hiya!
So it's twitch.tv/Croden_live, youtube.com/Mr. Croden, and you
Bloodwine.fan.com for the most recent version of the rules.
Yes, that.
And I think, unless there's anything between now and Saturday, I think next thing is Saturday. But is there something between now and Saturday?
There is something between now and Saturday. We have the finale of Mass Effect 2.
Ooh.
Yes. It's going to be
Some
amazing.
Friday action.
I'm
Thursday
going to die
action?
so many times. On Friday, yeah. I need the I don't work tomorrow time, because I'm going to die a lot. It's on Insanity. It's so hard.
Why would you put it to that?
Because I am a gamer.
Oh,
And also
no.
I have like 500 hours in this game. So I need
Got
something to
other
give me a
numbers.
challenge.
Come on.
The only further direction is into punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you never hear anyone go, man, I've been playing this game for a long time. I'm going to turn the difficulty down. Really spice things up that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Really spice it up. I mean, I would totally turn the difficulty down because it makes the game an absolute fucking joke. Like, oh, I could throw people around. I could hurl things like a toy. Anyway, watch me get hurled around like a fucking toy on Friday.
I don't.
Should
Does
be a good
Twitch
time.
let that sort of stuff slide? Or
Bioware games, usually.
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
So yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.